legislation will never solve our problems. The white liberals are nothing but political hypocrites who use our people as political footballs only to get bills passed that will increase their own power. The present proposed civil rights legislation will give the present administration dictatorial powers and make America a legal police state, but still won't solve the race problem. The present administration is only using civil rights as a political football to gain more legislation and power for itself. Our people are being used as pawns in the game of power politics by political hypocrites. 20 million ex-slaves must be permanently separated from our former slave master and placed on some land that we can call our own. Then we can create our own jobs, control our own economy, solve our own problems, instead of waiting on the American white man to solve our problems for us.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. This is Preacher Mark, the host of the SOS Shout Out Show. I hope you had an amazing Tuesday. I hope you had an outstanding Tuesday. It's really a historic Tuesday here in the United States. And if it's happening here in the United States, it's probably a historic day around the world. You know, if America sneezes, the rest of the world catches pneumonia. So I hope you don't mind the opening. I had to give you some Malcolm. Somebody said you got to give a little tonic with that orange. So I had to give a little tonic with the orange today. We're not playing today. Yesterday we started talking about Alec. Now you are seeing Alec play out all over the place. I am not a person that goes in for conspiracy theories. Hear me now. I don't do conspiracy theories. They're fun at times, but they're dangerous. And the reason it's dangerous because when the truth comes along, people can't tell the difference. Now before we get into the show, let me welcome brothers and sisters who are coming to the show for the first time. Appreciate you. The rules are simple for the Shout Out Show. If you're coming to the show for the first time, simple things. Number one, you're welcome. Thank you for coming to the platform. Let me thank you in advance for spending some time with us. That's number one. Number two, now that you're on the Shout Out Show, you're part of the Shout Out Show family, the SOS family, the SOS soldiers, if you will. You're part of an elite group, an eclectic group of thinkers and personalities on the show, and I always introduce them. You're going to have to get used to that because I like to introduce people that come on the show to give it that special sauce, if you will. And the other thing also is don't be quiet. Don't be quiet. This is not the platform for you to be quiet. If you have something to say, I say go to the comment section and say that. Two things happen when you go to the comment section. Number one, we put your comment up. If you say it, it has to have some value. And then number two, that's the way you get your shout out. This is the Shout Out Show. This is an interactive progress program that we've been doing for a while, and progressively, we're just trying to move it down the line. Now, some of you already saw that Malcolm X piece. I put that on there for a reason. Here in the United States, in the state of Georgia, that's why the show is called Georgia on Your Mind, but it's a question mark. Not Georgia, but Georgia on Your Mind. Georgia on Your Mind was a song written by the late great Ray Charles, the blind genius of the piano. But let me give you a little information about Georgia on Your Mind. That song, brothers and sisters, from Ray Charles was a hit. It was adopted as a state song. But they would not let Ray Charles perform in the theater and let black people come and be treated with dignity. For a period of a number of years, he refused to perform in Georgia and refused to sing that song. Later in life, they let him sing the song. Now, I could tell folks are going, so what's the big deal? It's a very big deal because he was a musical genius who could not see, but he could see that dignity was being denied. Injustice was being played out all over the place. So I'm not going to play tonight. I'm going to be very, very direct with everybody and just make sure you hold on to your hats because this is a politics night. In Georgia, the balance of the Senate hangs. You have three candidates. I don't even go through their names. Well, 4 candidates. I won't go through their names. 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. Here's the deal. I'm saying whoever wins, the people are pretty much going to lose. Whoever wins, the people are pretty much are going to lose. When a political race gets to that point, concessions have been made. Concessions for money, concessions for positioning, concessions for you do for me, I do for you, and it gets away from the will of the people. You will, by default, sell your soul in an election. And I'll get to that point in a moment. Before I get to that, though, I want to shout out people in the section right now. Brother Althoff coming all the way from Toronto. Brother, we appreciate you, man. If I don't say it tonight, if I don't say it every day, you let me know, because I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. And remind me before the end of the show to, you know what I'm saying, brother, stamp that passport. I'm going to do that for you. I'm going to stamp that passport for you. Now, furthermore, we also have Sister Ika coming all the way from Indonesia, making it happen. Thank you so much, Sister Ika. We appreciate you. Peace and blessings to you and your family. Walaikum assalam wa barakatuh. And this is the straw that stirs the drink. This is Sister Sultana Whitfield, the consultant producer of the Shout Out Show. And when she comes on the show, she makes sure that we're right. You know, every show I've done, she's been there. Can you think about that? Every show I've ever done, she's been there. There's not been a show I have not done that sister's not been on the broadcast. That is dedication. You know what I'm saying? Dedication. That's like NOI dedication. That's like 1956 dedication. I'm talking about MGT dedication. I'm talking about mad crazy, but she does it because she sees a process and a purpose. Many times it's beyond my process and purpose. And I guarantee to everybody, I've said this before on other shows, I'm going to say it right now. Sister Sultana is going to be a star. You're going to turn on one day, and it'll be the Shout Out Show. But before the Shout Out Show, it's going to be Sultana Whitfield Show, and she's going to be blazing it. You know why I'm saying this? Because we all need to get out here and understand that we have a part to play. And I'd love to see people shine. I love to see people grow. I love to see people star, and I want to see her star. So keep her duas for her. Okay. Sister Jasmine Fruits, who is our sister all the way from the UK. We haven't had Sister Jasmine on the show for a while, but this is an excellent sister doing great things in the UK. I hope everything's all right over there, sister. I'm glad you're checking in. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I know that the UK is shut down. What is it, like tier 3, tier 4? I mean, it's pretty bad over there. So I want you to know that you have my duas, your family has my duas, and please, please, please be safe and stay healthy. All right. So let me get back to the topic at hand. Tonight's show is called Georgia on Your Mind. Now, a lot of you are going to have to plug some pieces together because 2 things actually happened today. One was this Georgia primary. 2, brothers and sisters, in the state of Wisconsin, they returned no indictments against the Kenosha police that shot James Blake in the back and left him paralyzed. Let me say it again. The prosecution returned no verdict. They will not be prosecuting James Blake, and he will remain paralyzed. What am I saying? I gave you a little tidbit last night. What they did when they got in the room, brothers and sisters, is what I told you. They claimed, hear what I'm saying? They claimed, stand your ground. Even though he was turned away from them, stand your ground. Which means that there's a reasonable, hear me now, a reasonable amount of fear. You are able to be preemptive. And I want everybody to understand what preemptive means. It means I can act before you do it. Now, here's the killer part. If I act before you do something and you don't do it and I'm wrong, according to this law, the fear allows me to have a probability. It allows me to still be correct. See what I'm saying? Like if I'm walking down the street and someone sees me and in their mind it says, that person is going to stab me with a knife. Thus, I have the right to go over and shoot that young man. And they go over and shoot me. And I have no knife. And the person goes to the police, well, I felt threatened. I can't speak for myself because I'm probably dead. Well, here's the same situation, brothers and sisters. It's going to be that way with voting rights. Let's get something really, really straight. Malcolm X in that piece, I should probably play it again. He talked about conservatives, but he talked about the liberals. Here's the hustle. Whether we want to castigate the GOP as evil, greedy, mean-spirited, selfish, psychopaths, okay, you can do all of that. Power hungry, but here's the deal. You show me a politician on the liberal side that doesn't want power. That doesn't want power. That's like a comedian that doesn't want laughter. That's like a singer that don't want music. That's like Ramadan, you don't want the sun to go down. You hear what I'm saying? That's like a broke man don't want money. And instead of saying that, they give all of these weird paths and undulations that somehow, some way, the problem is us. We give them the power. This election going down in Georgia is yet another situation of everybody getting themselves worked up to elect politicians. You're going to give them the power and you'll have none. You'll have none. Oh, we got, what's going on, brother Afad? From Malaysia. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother. You up late? Sister Sultana all the way from New Jersey. I hope you caught the beginning of the show, Sister Sultana. I put Malcolm on him. I wasn't playing today. It's election day. You know what it's going to be. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother Adam. All right, let me say. I do not say this in light of situationing, but when I hear about Kenosha, other situations, I always think this is America. Childish Gambino, you know, Adam, you just brought up something that this is America. This is America. And I'm going to tell you something. America is only going to go as far, hear me now, as black people. America is only going to go as far as its black people. And it's only going to go as far as the Latinos on the bus. And a few Muslims on the bus. And the Native Americans, if you can find them, put them on the bus too. Because America's conscious now, brothers and sisters, is not about winning or losing. It's never been about winning or losing. It's never been about fairness. It's been about advantage, power, and denial of advantage and power. We want to believe, we really want to believe that someday we're going to wake up, us minorities, and that man is going to do right. The man is going to do right. But let me say something before I go too far. I ain't talking about all white people in this situation, but I'm talking about enough of them that makes this a valid argument. If you stop to think about this, it makes sense. I've said this before, and I may be wrong, but I said the way white supremacy lines up, institutional racism lines up, and Jim Crow, they line up as bed warmers for the devil. They line up as bed warmers for the devil. Thus, you are seeing in a progression of years that politics has gotten further and further away from God. And if you get further and further away from God, in my book, you get closer and closer to the devil. I've said this before. When you have a person that has no focus on a higher power, no meaningful engagement of logic of the hereafter, no meaningful engagement of gratitude, thankfulness, I'm going to tell you something. That's a deeply disturbed individual. That's a psychopath. Or I could say, in the nice words, that's a sociopath, because the sociopath doesn't have feeling, does not have empathy. The sociopath does not discern right or wrong. If you're watching politics right now, we're electing psychopaths and sociopaths. You got a woman down in Georgia saying, I'm going to side with a man that's a bed warmer for the devil. He's the one. Forget elections, brothers and sisters. And the scary part is people still want to believe in something. You know why? Because if you're American, doggone it, with all the things that are going on, I'm going to say this, you got to believe in something. You got to believe in something. Black people, for all the problems and issues and challenges. You know what we had to do outside of fighting? You had to believe in something. You know why? Because sometimes fighting wasn't enough. If you watch George Floyd, he's calling his mama, but he's calling God. He's calling God because his mom was already passed away. He's looking for a connection. He's looking for a 2 or 3 way on his phone, because in America, this is not the home of the brave. This is not the American dream. This is what I'm talking about. This is, brothers and sisters, a place for either you believe or you don't believe. Sister Tana's, the man worth things, Muhammad said, we will remake this world religiously. Yeah. But it's a fight right now, Sister Satana. It's a fight right now. I believe you can go in some parts and call people a non-believer, and you'll get a much more violent reaction than if you call people the N-word. Dig that. Imam said something, and I never forget. He said, if you don't like the way people treat you, change the way you think. And black people have been fighting that fight for years. For years. It's spectator sport, because some people go, why don't you give up? Why don't you lay down? How long are you going to take it? We breed children. We grow children into a struggle. And we tell the children about the struggle. And the children grow up understanding the struggle. That's not by accident. That's not by accident. I'll tell you, when I went to school, I was well rehearsed to be around white people, to understand when I was not being treated right, to understand when people trying to get the okie doke on me, to understand as a little kid, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, I knew when I was going to have to fight after school. I knew I had to talk to make sure nobody jumped on my back when I got in a fight. I knew these things. And this is a part of the existence. I'm 54 years old, still fighting. You think an election designed by devils, an election designed by politicians is something that's going to set me free or give any of us peace of mind? You can't even have a peaceful democratic process. A peaceful democratic process. The streets are blood red with lies, misinformation, money, lobbyism, all this type of stuff. And then we sit here and go, well, one day it'll work out. No, Malcolm was correct. And I'm going to suggest this for everybody, whether you're black, white, Latino, Muslim, non-Muslim. You are going to understand that at some point in time, you're going to have to separate yourself from a system that doesn't work. Separate yourself from a system that doesn't work. You're going to have to look at that system, pull yourself away, and let it die. And when the people come to you and say, come help me, I got to let you die. You see, the fable of Black America, the fable of minority and people of color, is that we helped our oppressors because somehow we found value in our oppressors. We did not do that. We knew that if the oppressor went down, all of us went down because the game was so screwed up, brothers and sisters. The game was so wrong. Do you know how bad it is to have to raise children based off of a model that doesn't like your children? Do you know what it is to have to go through a school system, knowing the school system is set up for defeat, and you still have to send your kids to that school because the die has already been cast? It's been cast. The dice are loaded, but they make you put them in your hand and roll them anyway. They make you put them in your hand and roll them anyway. We're living in Vegas. What's that mean? The house always wins. And I don't mean the White House. I mean Massa's house. And the only way you can beat Massa is don't pick up the dice. Don't pick up the dice. Leave the dice alone. Leave the cards alone. The game is rigged. You play it. And sad enough, if you get out of the way, the oppressors will collapse on themselves. Now I'm going to give some big ups to people in Georgia, Stacey Abrams, her coalitions. People are really, really trying to do this thing the right way, and I applaud them. But I'm an old school guy. I seen old school hustlers my whole life. I seen them in my family. I seen them in my neighborhood. In my life, I see guys run game. But I ain't never seen a game run as cold as politics. You hear what I'm saying? I've never seen a game run on ideas, built on consensus that can affect my life. I've never been a part of a game where people can get in the House and the Senate and figure out how long I might have to go to jail, figure out how well my school is funded, figure out where I can move, figure out my voting opportunity. Do you hear what I'm saying? And if you really start to think about this thing and break it down, the game is not checkers or chess. The game is not playing checkers or chess. The reality is they don't want to play with you at all anyway. So put the games away. Put them away. Engage in meaningful conversation. When I say meaningful conversation, say what you need to say. Stop dilly-dallying and say what you need to say. You have a limited amount of time. You have a limited opportunity to say what you got to say. And brothers, I'm here to tell you, you better reevaluate that sister at your side. You better reevaluate those sisters in the church, the sisters in the masjid, sisters in the synagogue. Because I believe, and I believe this firmly, the way out of this is going to be mother wit. It's going to be mother wit. It's going to take a coalition of women who, brothers and sisters, have compassion and logic in excess. You see, we worry so much about winning, brothers and sisters, that you don't understand how the game is played. People want to play a game and win. They don't even know the rules. So I'm going to put this up here. You're right. When they won't treat you right, they won't teach you right. That's what I wanted to say yesterday. Ma'am, Warthi Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with him, said, when they don't treat you right, they won't teach you right. Yes. Walking out of the shadow of the slave master by Sultana. Okay. Okay. Thank you, sister. I appreciate it. But look at what sister just said. Let me put this back up here. When they won't treat you right, they won't teach you right. You know the people in America that have caused the most problems, brothers and sisters? I don't mean black people. I don't mean all black people. But here in the United States, probably in the UK, the people who cause the most problems are the people who had the best questions. They had the best questions and had the best follow-up questions. And they weren't fearful of an answer. They were fearful of not getting an answer. They were fearful of getting double talk. And so they asked these questions in large crowds. They asked these questions in debate forums, whereby your logic will be tested. We don't test logic anymore. We test faith. Do you see how wrong that is? We don't test logic anymore. We test faith. And the weird part is God tests your faith. Why are we testing it? You better check that logic, though. You better check that logic and make sure that it's sound. You better make sure that it's applicable across a broad scope, a broad spectrum, because we don't do it anymore. And so you have companies like I talked about, ALEC, right? ALEC.org. Check it out. These police officers get off, and the boy in Minnesota that killed George Floyd, y'all know that the man made bail, right? The boy that killed James Blake, I mean, the not the boy that killed James Blake, I'm sorry. But the riot that happened in regards to James Blake being shot by the police in Kenosha, Wisconsin, there was a little white boy, he was 17. He took a rifle, he killed 2 people, injured 1 person. Someone bailed him out, brothers and sisters. You know who? Ricky Schroeder. Ricky Schroeder from what, Silver Spoons and the cop shows and all that type of stuff. And he sat and said, I mean, he's a Trump supporter. But he made the argument, brothers and sisters, it's a cold-blooded argument. It's a cold-blooded argument. Think of all the people in your life, friends, neighbors, brothers, sisters, in some cases, cousins, that couldn't make bail. This guy gave almost $250,000 towards his kid's bail. I'm not even saying that's the problem. The problem is it was thrown in everybody's face. He posted bail for this killer in Kenosha. And then James Blake, we got to put together money for him. Put together money for his family. We got to do launch good. We got to do GoFundMe pages to deal with his medical bills. It's a parallel I think people aren't really even catching. So my prediction by tonight, let me bring my brother up. Assalamu alaikum, ma. And give Miss Maisie my due. Assalamu alaikum, mom. Good to see you. Here's the issue. Because here's the reality. I believe in politics, there's very few cases that you're going to outthink the game. And the opportunity when you really, really outthink the game is when the game is so arrogant. I.e., when Obama got elected, people were saying, nobody ain't going to elect no Negro. Ain't nobody going to elect no black people wouldn't elect a black person. And what they found was Hillary Clinton. They found was Bill Clinton. They found was Senator McCain, God rest his soul, is that black people can think. That black people have a nomenclature that nobody understands. And there are other groups that have that same nomenclature. In the same way you're arrogant, we look for opportunities and openings to exploit. And I would tell everybody at this point in time, with the election, the truth be told, and I said it to Sultana, I think the Democrats are going to lose Georgia. I think they're going to lose Georgia. They're only going to get one seat at best. And I'm going to tell you why. Arrogance. Arrogance. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, I appreciate you. But when Stacey Abrams was putting in that work, you weren't there. I'm not. See, the whole idea of flipping the blue state, Democrats didn't think they could flip the blue state. It was a black woman, several black women that said, we got this, we could make it happen. And when it got close, they flipped in air, all the money came in, but they did all the heavy lifting. And what happens now is, when you take, and I've said this before, the devil never loses twice. The devil never loses twice. As long as I've been black, I've seen a black person win against injustice, but you ain't going to win again the same way with the same people. Mark my word. And so as we begin to wrap up this whole thing, brothers and sisters, yes, we should all have Georgia not on our minds. We have Georgia in our prayers. Because if this state goes down to the GOP, I'm here to tell you, the country's going to be racked up for another 10 years. Why? Because the Senate is going to do the same thing they're doing now. And they're going to do it with even more rebuff. Because they're still scared of 45. They're still scared of Agent Orange. They're still scared of Donald Doofus. And I'm going to tell y'all something. I've never been a fan of the white psyche. I've never been a fan of the white psyche. The white supremacist psyche. I've never been a fan of the white psyche. And on top of that, I've never been a fan of the white psyche that's afraid to address the white supremacist psyche. If I put you in a boat in the middle of the lake and shot a hole in the boat, I wouldn't throw a raft out there to get you. I wouldn't throw a life preserver out to get you. That's the way I feel. I don't mean about life, but I mean about attitude. And for this thing, Malcolm's words are correct, because the Democrats can't say who they are. The Republicans don't care who they are. They'll tell you. But the Democrats can't say, and if they could just say who they are and say, listen, we share a lot of the goals and objectives of these people. We want power too. And then have an honest conversation with black folk. Then have an honest conversation with Latinos. You know, I don't like the wolves in sheep clothing effect approach that's been out there. No, tell me who it is. I don't want to go through a whole lot of rim. I don't want to go through the emotional crevices of up and down trying to find out who you are. So I'm going to wrap up here. And I'm going to say Georgia should be on your mind, but Georgia should be in your prayers. Justice should be in your prayers. Fairness should be in your prayers. James Blake should be in your prayers. Righteousness should be in all of our prayers. Why? Because I'm telling you, and I'm not being wrong, these people, these oppressors, don't know how to love themselves. Thus, they can't love you. Thus, they can't have your best interests at heart. They can't have your worst interests at heart. It's not that they don't love you. They just don't want to be around you. This is a failed relationship for hundreds of years from the beginning. They can't live with you, and they can't live with you. All I'm saying is acknowledge that relationship. In the words of my mentor, if you don't like the way they act, they treat you, change the way you think. So when they come around for the political late night hookup, the political, as my friend said, the political booty call for the black and Latinos, they come sneaking around at night when nobody sees you. Don't answer the door. Let them take a L. Let them take a O. They can take another S and an S. Let them take the loss, brothers and sisters. Because then and only then are they going to understand, here's what I'm saying, value. I'll give the GOP some credit. They fear our value to the point they don't want to give it to us. But our other brothers and sisters, you better understand that Stacey Abrams and people who are like that are organic leaders. And if we can't embrace people like that, number one, and then number two, begin to produce more people like that, all I'm going to say is you might as well just wake up, brothers and sisters. You might as well just wake up go back to the job in the cotton field, because that's exactly where they want us to be. I'm Preacher Moss. This, brothers and sisters, is the Shout Out Show. I appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow. It might be a little bit lighter tomorrow. I don't know. But you know what? Like I said, brothers and sisters, we need to talk and speak the truth. Yeah, you need to speak the truth. And truth to power. So, like I said, I appreciate everybody, and I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. I'm passionate. I don't like to see people get taken for bad. That worries me. Whether you're a parent or a brother or sister, there's nothing worse than seeing folks be taken care of, disrespected, and not being served proper justice. Okay.
Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your Shout Out Show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next Shout Out Show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarifatar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out tarifatar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.